Ready.
Hey guys, and welcome back to 20XXPower. Sorry about the gap in time between this video and the last, but things got a tad busy, so the project had to be placed on the back burner. But today we're going to hop into the Wayback Machine and set to 1993 and explore a game in the series that has inspired our name, Megaman X, on the Super Nintendo. The Rockman series, better known as Mega Man in Western territories, is the brainchild of Keiji Inafune, now best known as Japan's game industry's prophet of doom. The original game for the Famicom featured his character designs, a focus on music, and revolved around the hook of defeating enemies in any order you wished. It came out in the United States around the same time, but now without a couple of changes, namely this really crappy piece of box art that's become the standard for bad game artwork, and of course the change of name from Rockman to Mega Man because the guys in the top offices thought it sounded cooler. The game was a modest success, and Capcom decided to release a sequel in '88. Once it became a smash hit in Japan, it was ported to the North American NES in '89. Mega Man 2 became one of the most popular games on the system and is regarded by many fans to be the definitive game of the series. After 3 more sequels, the NES was on its way out, and it was decided to not only develop for the new heavyweight in gaming, the Super Nintendo, but also to start everything over by sending players to a new century, 21XX. The new game utilized its new hardware to give players harder rocking tunes, better graphics, new gameplay mechanics, and allowed for more fleshed out story to be presented in-game. The success of Mega Man X spawned off a new series in the Meta series of Mega Man, and managed to spawn off the Zero series as well. That's right folks, a spin-off of a spin-off. Leave it to Capcom, right? But now that we've gotten some of the background out of the way, let's take a closer look at this 16-bit masterpiece. Mega Man X is an action platformer where you play as X, a robot with the ability to think for himself and make his own decisions. Created by Dr. Light from the first series, he had to be absolutely sure that X wouldn't endanger society, so he placed him into a capsule that allowed him to be tested to see if he would choose right or wrong. However, before these tests were completed, the Doctor died with no successor, leaving his creation to be lost forever. Right? Wrong. According to the manual, a man named Dr. Kane finds X and then mass produces these robots based off his design, calling them Reploids. And you can guess what happens from there. From here we pick up with the start of the proper game with X and Zero fighting the Mavericks that are led by Sigma. There's a lot more story to the game that's been retroactively added in both future installments into the series and the remake for the PSP, but the core narrative presented in the game is simple, with your job being to take out these renegade robots with wacky names. It's a simple tale for a far simpler time, when stories were just excuses for launching you into the action. But what is presented here is far from lackluster and is easily one of the most memorable stories from a 16-bit action game. Gameplay in Mega Man X focuses on 3 major factors: platforming, shooting, and strategy. The game opens up with what becomes a standard in the series, an opening level that sets up the story and its characters, which are X, Zero, and the purple Boba Fett who goes by Vile. Once you beat this level, you are then taken to a level select screen where the strategizing really begins. As in all Mega Man games, you pick one of 8 bosses and then proceed to fight them in any order you wish. When you defeat a boss, you gain a weapon from them, and each boss is weak to a very specific weapon. Just be careful how you use them though, because they rely on ammunition, unlike your standard buster. While this is normal for all Mega Man games, X throws in a few new additions to the classic formula. When you defeat bosses, it will oftentimes affect the stage's physical characteristics, such as the Lava and Flame Mammoth stage will freeze over if you beat Chill Penguin first. X has the ability to jump off of and slide on walls, allowing for more vertical challenging stages. E-tanks, which you can use to refill your energy, are now refillable, and X can now become faster and stronger with parts from Dr. Light's capsules. Although, admittedly, they're a lot like the item parts in Mega Man 2, but it's slightly different. These all work extremely well, and you will have to do some return visits to stages for these power-ups oftentimes, but don't worry about it being too much of a chore. Once you snag the object, you can port out. assuming you've already beaten the boss, of course. Graphically, the game looks stellar for a SNES game, and carries over just enough from the original series to be familiar while giving it a whole new look. X's graphical style is a lot darker and edgier than the original series, and is a bit of a turn-off for many fans of it, but I actually find it to be distinctive and fun in its own way. You see, the X series chooses to grow up with its players and goes down a far more serious and action-packed road with a stronger focus on storytelling, which is the main factor in my love for the X series over the classic. On the flip side is the sound department, which is universally praised. The rule for music in the Mega Man game is that it must be amazing, and X goes above and beyond in this area. The step up from 8-bit to 16-bit is obvious from the first riff on the title screen with its excellent replication of a distorted guitar. With the new abilities of the SNES's sound chip, we are given tunes that feel more rock-infused than ever. Each song is energetic and stands as extremely memorable. For me, this is evident in Spark Mandrill stage, but there is not one backtrack in this game, with all of them fitting the action on screen like a glove. But there is one crucial element that defines Mega Man X and the entire Mega Man series. These games are hard! Mega Man on the NES helped define Nintendo hard, and the X games continue this legacy. While memorizing the patterns is easy to do, the game demands fast reflexes and pixel-perfect timing with your jumps, and there will be moments where you'll consider hurling your controller across the room in fury. In comparison to other games in the series, it will vary from individual to individual on how hard you feel this game is. Many have stated that the games of the X series are a good bit harder than the original games, but personally, I have to disagree on that matter. The stages in the X games don't have game breakers like the disappearing blocks in the original series, and are a little more lenient when it comes to platform size. However, when it comes to final bosses, X takes the cake. Confession time, folks. I've actually yet to beat the final boss. There's a long list as to why, but all amounts to two things. One, you have to beat the entire final part of the game in one shot, which takes the average player close to an hour. And two, it's just that hard. The final part of the boss is notorious for being one of the most difficult final bosses from that era, and it's pretty easy to see why. Excluding this little factor, the rest of the game is relatively easy for a Mega Man game. Keyword relatively, although I do have to say, it is pretty viable for a first Mega Man game. Mega Man X has aged extremely well, and is a great action game that belongs in your game collection, so it's completely deserving of a solid A. The original SNES card is pretty common and can be found for next to nothing if you look in the right place. But if you have a GameCube, PS2, Wii, or backwards compatible PS3, you can instead snag the Mega Man X collection and have all 6 of the SNES and PlayStation games on one disc. There is also a PSP remake called Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, but it really is different enough that it constitutes as its own game and has some slowdown issues. It does have a lot more content though, and a lot more storyline in it that really does clear up some of the plot voids that are left by X, so it is worth checking out. And it's something I would love to review sometime, I just don't have the ability to record PSP stuff right now. So, looks like that wraps up our look at Mega Man X. But there are plenty more titles in the series, so we'll probably make another trip back to the Megaverse in the not too distant future. But the question is, of course, what's next for 20XXPower? Good question. Well, it looks like we'll be jumping back into the pool of 3D Sonic releases with a look at Sonic Heroes in our next episode. Until then, this is Twilight 21XX saying God bless, and I'll see y'all next time.